second so it's not as dark, but we're going to do snatch balance, push press, front squat, and try to hit some, at least a decent amount of volume in the three. So we'll see doubles with the snatch balance and the push press, and then probably doubles as well with the front squat. But I don't know. We'll see what we end up doing. But get this out of the way from yesterday. Skaters are really loud out there. At least that's what I assume that they are. I don't know where I want to put this. Unless that works. Another one out the way. Alright, time to warm up. Push that down a little bit. There we go. There's a big old cricket that hopped under the platform when I came in. That or a big spider, but I don't think spiders hop like crickets. Crickets can be pretty big. Maybe my sister is right. Maybe I do live in the deep south. How loud these cicadas are. Don't feel too bad. Go ahead and get 50 on there. 50, 70, 90, 100, and then 110. We'll see. Much like yesterday's session, I like to kind of work at a good clip. Ice cream truck's here. I'm done training. I'm gonna go get some ice cream. Spent $10 on an ice cream cone. What's up? Hey, thanks, Tate. It's going well so far. It's been going pretty well. Unless I missed this 110 double. Not too bad. Ultramas. Ultramas. Okay, sorry. Getting all kinds of text messages. Alright, so 110 was the goal. 130 is a bonus, so let's see if we can do this as well. I gotta build back up to that. That's right, though. I wasn't really fully committed to it. Although, it didn't feel that heavy. What's up, Slam? So I feel like I give it one more try. Do one more try for Slam. overhead squats. Or I guess snatch balances, but we're gonna try to do a double. Well, at least one. Alright. Good for one, not for two. That's good though. Part of my brain was like, try it for double. You already made the first one, but that was heavy. But push press now. I think if I would have made it on the first attempt, I would have probably gone for a second. 110 for a double, that was pretty easy, is good. Making that for a single is good. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's good to play around with your stance to figure out. Not even, I mean, obviously you want to be having an aesthetic squat, but it's also important to have the best leverage. I will say, like, I used to like be almost entirely sole or toes forward, and that's good. But I've always liked my toes being really, really forward, but I don't necessarily point them out a lot, but just a little bit more. I used to be really like straightforward, but I think that's something that as I have increased in body weight, not that I necessarily go crazy with my stance or anything, but I have adjusted it out a little bit. But I think that just allows my hips to drop between me a little bit easier. Probably should have done it back then, to be honest, but you kind of figure out things as you go. The middle ground for most of the variations of the stance will probably be best for most people, for the simple fact that you don't add a Q&A sticker. No, I don't feel like adding a Q&A sticker. I can barely read the chat because I'm blind. But yeah, my belt's just from Rogue, the weightlifting belt. I like that one. But we're gonna do 70. We might just do the same jumps, to be honest. Do doubles at 70, 90, 110, and then maybe go crazy and try a double with 130. Rishashi. Yeah, I mean, for me, I like when I see like, oh, they squat like this or that. Like, I think everyone just kind of squats what's to their best advantage, and the only rule is that you should go as deep as you can for the sport of weightlifting because it's more specific. But like, I'm naturally a hips back squatter just because my posterior chain is a lot more dominant. So like, I don't ever think about like, oh, I gotta set my like Ukrainian style, like, oh, I gotta set my hips back. Like, my hips just, I'm gonna throw it back, kind of regardless. For me, it's always just trying to get my quads and knees and everything like as I'm coming up forward and trying to keep my back upright. And that's not even necessarily because I want to have like a Chinese squat, but like where I fail is my hips shoot back too much and I good morning it. So fighting against that allows me to push through a sticking point. But essentially for me, I don't really think about shoving my knees forward per se. I just think about as I squat down, keeping them forward. And I guess in essence, I am thinking of pushing them forward, but I just think about maintaining my position and kind of fighting what's natural to me, which is pitching over a lot. Um, so, yeah, getting your quads involved. I mean, I used to be even more hip dominant back when I low barred and stuff, and um, way back in the day when I low barred. And it just makes it, I mean, you just don't use your quads. That's like when you see a powerlifter squat, and it's like a really exaggerated, low bar. They're just not using quads. That's why I don't disrespect low bar squats because they can still look aesthetic depending on who's doing it. But like when you see like the classic hips back, barely at a parallel and up, like it's not a quad exercise. It's just a good morning, which to me always confuses me when I see powerlifters who employ like a good morning squat. I guess for them it makes sense, but when they use like a good morning squat, they're not really doing like any quads. They're really focused on all posterior chain when really if they just got their quads stronger, they could be able to generate more force. But I suppose if they were just kind of, working around the fact that their quads are weak and like keeping their knees back and hips back, kind of the Louis Simmons type squat, um, then you're kind of just trying to keep it all out of your quads essentially, put it all in your back and your hips, which probably allows you to move more weight if you're really efficient at it. But aesthetics are more important than that for sure. But yeah, cause like for me, if I think of like shoving forward, like it's like it feels weird, but it's like basically when I'm coming up, it's my knees want to shoot back, so it's just trying to keep them towards my toes, I guess. But they can only go forward so far before it becomes like the opposite leverage. Like I have to maintain obviously balance, so it's mostly just keeping the bar in my center of balance. One. Oh, not to 110 yet. 90 first. Ooh. Need to do more work than big jumps. I need to bring more chalk out. My block's a little tiny pebble now. All right, 90. Yeah, I mean, trying to squat upright and use your knees or your quads will definitely help with that endeavor. it's always been kind of weird for me. My legs have always been big, so nor have I really cared like if they got bigger or whatever. They have grown, of course, over the years, but my upper body was always smaller relative to what my legs are. So yeah, if you want to get your quads to grow, I don't think anything will do it better than a really upright high bar squat. And if you're really focused on just like the muscle building aspect, you can really exaggerate that and really like force yourself to be upright. And probably find things like a Hatfield squat or some sort of leg variation that you can stay even more upright in. But I don't do none of those. Just scoots. Okay. This should be a pretty routine double, and then I would like to go to 130 after this. But much like the snatch balance, like this is kind of like, I know I can do it. It's the routine number, and so I want it to be technically good, so then I feel good about jumping up. And that's exactly what I was looking for. Obviously, you can always move easier, but it's pretty casual. So we'll cheat and use a belt for 130. I don't. Anytime I've ever tried to do a belt squat, I always feel so uncomfortable. The gym's building a new facility. They probably still have that belt squat, but like anytime I try to use it, it just feels so like no quads. It's just all like your hips have to be back to hold it. I think belt squat is terrible. Honestly, if I was looking just to build my quads, I'd probably still do squats. But if I like literally didn't want to do anything else besides quads, I'd probably Hatfields honestly would be nice, or like hack squats. But I feel like Hatfield squats would be nice because you could almost lean back as you're holding it and really force or allow yourself, really not even force, allow yourself to be more upright. So I'm thinking less of the advantage of using your arms to help yourself up, but more that you can use your arms to keep your balance back more than what you would be able to do in a normal squat. Honestly, I would rather do lunges and like leg extensions over belt squats. Anytime I ever try to do it, I can't get to full depth with them without like, it took a lot of work to figure it out, and I don't feel it even when I did. So it's just like, this is not worth, the juice is not worth the squeeze. And I was feeling it more in like my hips, which my hips don't lie. I don't need more hips. Hips don't lie. All right. You know, in a perfect world, I do this for a double, but I'm going to be happy with just a single, just like the snatch balance. 130 would be like I think a 5 kilogram double. I think 125, I did it for a triple, but it's also my best double, I think. But you got to make the first one. We'll see though. A lot of effort. Oh, no. Not there. I wasn't even really close. I didn't feel bad unracking it, but once I started to drive, there wasn't anything there. Not like a snatch balance, though. I don't think it is there. So, we'll move on to some front squats, and then I might do some overhead press after front squats, but we'll see. We shall see. And a lot of these, well, like yesterday and today, I'm kind of trying to take the mindset to not necessarily get less hyped, but if I miss that lift, to just move on to the next thing, and not like get it turned up and start blaring music for every session. It's not bad necessarily to do if you're feeling good and whatnot, but I need to have more of these. I'll say easier days, I guess mentally easier days, where it's like, yeah, I still, 130 snatch balance, that's heavy on any day. And like 110 double in the push press is good on any day, but if I don't blare music and, freak out to try 130 again, then I'm fine with that. Is like really the main goal today is to really get, just volume in general, but also just to get some front squats in. And everything else is just kind of a bonus in a sense. And then if I'm still motivated after doing front squats, then I still have the energy to do something like overhead press and just get some, just normal volume in. Or strict volume in, I guess. Strict pressing volume. Well, we're going to put honestly, we'll just keep these ones on today. We don't need to get the heavy reps out. Just redo them. But we're going to do, I don't know, we'll see. I'm just going to do doubles at 70, 120, and then probably go 150, 170. And we'll see how those feel. I'm going to not use the belt for any of them today. Which for me, well, we might. Who knows? We'll see if we want to use the belt. We won't for 70 or 120, but I would like to, 170 is kind of like the minimum double I want to do. So, if that feels bad, then, or if like 150 feels a little slow, then we might cheat like we did with 130 and throw the belt on. All right. 70. It's nice, like a session like this and yesterday is like I'm just resting less in between, so like I'm getting through it a little bit faster, so it's making these sessions that are still productive. I'm not mentally exerting myself as much, so then I'm going to feel more recovered tomorrow. That's something I think I do a poor job of, is I don't want to say I take it too serious, but like I wait too long before I do lifts. Like I get too focused in on like I have to like lift hard on this particular day, when really it's like I have to lift as hard as I can, and I have to still like want to do productive lifts. But if I'm like my CNS is getting fried every day, then like it's gonna offload on some way, and I'm gonna have a terrible session. Versus like, maybe I could squeeze a little bit more juice. Like maybe I'm getting 90% out of the session instead of 95 or 98%. But that extra 5 to 8% that I would have to squeeze out would be like getting hyped up, meaning the belt and the heavy sleeves on, and getting really, freaking out. Versus tomorrow I might feel even better, and then it's like, all right, I have more energy. Now there's more 92 or 93% of the productive potential of the session I can get out tomorrow, And with me especially, I'm gonna train every day. So like, if you're training every day, you have to also allow yourself to regulate a little bit. You can't go hard every day. Especially, I mean, at the strength levels I'm at, I'm getting closer and closer to my genetic potential. So it's harder and harder to get to those heavier numbers every day. But 170 for a double will be really productive, but we gotta do 70 first. Knees are a little achy, but that's alright. And with less pressure on a session like this, I know that if it doesn't go well, like if I can't do 170 for a double, I'm not going to feel bad. And I have sessions built in, or at least one where it's like, you feel good, I can push up and go heavy. Granted, 170 is still heavy, but not heavy, heavy. Right, 120. You might use the heavy wraps. I say all that, but I kind of want to throw them on for 170. Plus, re-wrapping these will give me, force myself to take a little bit more rest. I guess that's another benefit. If you're not pressing as hard in a particular session, you can rest less between sets and get a more cardio effect, which will probably help in just overall health, but also trainability in future sessions. And it gives you something else to push yourself with, even on a day where you're not really trying that hard. All right. 150 for 2 here. We're going to cheat and use the heavy reps. Actually don't know if I'll be able to do a double. I'm not going to put the belt on. I don't want that challenge. But heavy reps will be helpful. Part of me just wants to go to 175. I think I did 170 double the other week, so. But I think 170 is a smarter number. So 150 felt good, but not like I'm gonna smoke 170 out of the water. Close. If this one feels really good, we'll try to do it for more than a double, but alright. So 170 now, so we'll see how that goes. Oh, that was brutal. Slipped right off. I don't think it was going up anyway. Ugh. Hey, you know what? That's the front squat life. But oh, that stinks. But we did 150 for an easy double, and frankly, this gives me more to work on moves for the week. But I think in lieu of doing like pressing, I think I'm gonna do hypertrophy with the bands. So no need to record all that because it's not really that interesting. But you know, a quick session, which are always nice, a productive one in some sense, but one that I'm not going to dwell on for too long, although the 130 snatch balance was nice. So that's definitely the highlight of the day. But, you know, but days like this would be workouts in the past where I'd press and try to squeeze out more than what was ever there and end up fatiguing myself more than I need to. So it's something that's not very fun in a sense. Like, it's obviously fun to just lift better and, you know, lift heavier and stuff, but it's not always going to be the case. So we're going to still get some extra band work in. Band. Hypertrophy. But that's going to be it for this one. So quick, 45 minutes, got 3 exercises done, and now for about probably 15 minutes I'll be doing some band stuff to work on the shoulders, buys, and tries, and all that good stuff. So deuces.